Hey everybody, it's me, Margaret. It's Halloween. Well, it's getting to be Halloween. I have a little bit to show, not a whole lot. I've been super busy, but not with my yarn. The first thing is that we went to Webb's, Erin and I, and we got all kinds of wonderful yarn, and I had specific shawls in mind that I was going to do with that fancy yarn that I bought there. And I had also gotten this yarn for like $1.69 a skein on sale at Michael's. It is loops and threads, wool-like. So really, it feels really good. It has some nylon in it. Now I can't find the information. Acrylic and nylon. But it is very thin. It's that delicate yarn. It's like a fingering weight. So, when I was at Erin's house, I cast on, with her help, one of these shawls that I wanted to do. But I could not keep it going. It's too technical for this beginner. Plus, using this tiny, tiny little thin yarn and the smaller needles, I just felt all thumbs. So I ripped that out and I got another one that I thought was a little bit easier. Same thing, it was still too many things for me to think about while I was getting used to this yarn. So I went back to the basics, and if you'll remember, I learned to knit by knitting Grandma's favorite washcloth. So using that same pattern, I started to practice with this. I'm not sure if you can actually see that. I need a remote control that can zoom for me. So it's very simple. It's just garter stitched, and you have this little yarn over space right here. So, and I actually did pretty well on it. I'm getting very bored with it at the moment, but I think I've practiced enough, so I may just rip it out. I don't think I want to go and complete a whole shawl in this very boring pattern. So regardless, I now feel very comfortable with this little thin yarn. So I might get brave and try the other, more fancy ones. Then, the only thing I have to show are these hats. Now, the reason I chose to do these big, giant, chunky hats is because progress is so slow when you work with this finer yarn, and it's small, and I said, I gotta do something fast and quick and fat. So, these are some scrap hats, and I've done this before. It's a basic double crochet hat. You just take 2 strands, and you do your double crochet. So, the thing that is great about this, besides using up your scraps, besides the fact that it's fun and fast, is that they're very thick, so they're nice and warm. I had forgotten about them until I brought those hats out for Erin. From my big giant stash of hats that I have to give away, I had chosen all the thickest ones for her because it's so much colder. Now here is one, actually these are the same thing, but this is one where I used the bright spring green of Red Heart, and then a mystery yarn I had that was a little bit thinner. It still considers itself a worsted, but I don't know, I think I would consider it a DK. But that's what the Royal is, and it worked out nice together. But I love the fact that it's kind of fun to play with these color combinations on this. I really do like the similar colors, the way they kind of just give you a, I don't know, more gentle color mix. And then you have the brighter colors. Now granted, the blue, while this is a good contrast, the blue is a little bit thinner than the green, so it doesn't look quite equal, so to speak. And if you spin it around, you can kind of see where the one color would take over more than another color. But I don't know, I just thought these were fun. So I knocked these 3 out, pom-poms and all, probably about 2 hours, I guess, if I added it all together, because you know me, I never sit still long enough to do 2 solid hours of work at one time. But I'm guessing about that long. So I will probably be doing more of these, because I looked up and my scraps are growing by leaps and bounds. And I totally forgot this little kitty I made, the one in the front. You see? It's kind of dark, it's hard to show up. That's the yarn that Lorna gave me, the woolies. And he actually looks more like the calico cat than he does this kitty that I apparently am bothering right now. Very simple pattern. This is a crochet version. She had adapted it from an original knit version, which I'm also going to try. But it was very quick to make up and simple to do. Now, in honor of Halloween, I'm going to tell you a ghost story. And you may want to put your needles and hooks down, because when I edited this ghost story, well, there was something in the background. Happy Halloween, everybody! I'm going to tell you a ghost story. Out here, our neighborhood is located. Do you like my trick-or-treat guy? Our neighborhood is located on some property that was once a big plantation. It was owned by the Johnstone family. And they had 2 daughters and 2 sons. Unfortunately, they lost their 2 sons. And so all they had was their 2 daughters. The older one got married. And the younger one was at her house one night. And there was this handsome man that came. His name was Mr. Vick. He was actually an ancestor of the town founder of Vicksburg, which is where I happened to grow up. So she falls madly in love with him, but they had to wait for a little while because she was like only 16, and finally the day came for them to get married. Now, in the meantime, while all this was going on, a major mansion was being built right down the road called Annandale, and now it's a neighborhood named that. And so they were in the process of decorating, getting ready for the wedding, and everything was all happy, happy, hunky-dory. So Mr. Vick was going to go down to New Orleans. You know, Vicksburg's right on the river. So he was going to zip down in a boat, go down to New Orleans and buy him a wedding suit and a few things that they needed for their new fancy schmancy mansion that had just been built. And she warned him. She said, now don't you go fighting for any, they called it honor fighting, which was a duel. And she says, don't get in all that. Well, sure enough, he goes drinking into this tavern, and he meets a longtime rival. Apparently, they'd had a dispute over land a long time ago, and Mr. Vick, he had just forgotten about that. He didn't, wasn't worried about it. But this guy, his name was Mr. Stith, or Stith, S-T-I-T-H, and he was going to hold him accountable. And they ended up in this big fist fight, and next thing you know, he challenged them him to a duel. And actually the legend has it that the worst thing you could possibly say was that you weren't a gentleman. So anyway, they go and get in a duel, and Mr. Vick shoots up, and the other guy shoots Mr. Vick right in the head. So it was a sad, sad thing. And the little bride was just so torn again that she just was brokenhearted and fell apart. And so the day of their wedding, when they were supposed to be getting married, they actually were having the funeral. He is buried in Chapel of the Cross, which is the little church just right up the road. Which is where her family attended church. It was on, this big property owned by the Johnstone family. And legend has it that she still haunts. She comes and she sits and she cries, and she's, is still sad over this whole thing. So supposedly we have this bride that, but that's not true or anything, right? Yeah, okay, that's not true. But I thought it was a good story to share with you anyway. Did you see her? Did you see the bride while I was talking? Well, that really is some local folklore that we've got going on around here. I drive past that little church every single day. I've even gone over there to take pictures. I have a picture of his grave, but it's on a hard drive that I was too lazy to go upstairs and get. So I'll show you a picture right here. Ooh. And the legend is that she used to sit at this little wrought iron bench that her family had made for her. And there is a wrought iron bench that's there. And she had asked her family not to put anybody in the plot beside his grave, and they didn't. There is this side, there is, but not on that side, even still to this day. And also, the legend, I was so distracted while filming that ghost story that I left out all kinds of details. But she did get married, her name was Helen, and she did get married to an Episcopal minister. And they moved kind of north of here and built this big, beautiful house, actually on an Indian mound, which is probably fodder for ghost stories there too. She had 3 wonderful kids, a wonderful life, and they say that on her deathbed, though, in her delirium, she thought she saw Mr. Vic, and she became all joyful because, you know, began to talk about plans for the wedding and that sort of thing. And then, you know, she still haunts the grave. So I thought you might get a kick out of that story. While talking about my trip with Erin to Yankee Candle Village, I had taken some pictures of the Halloween town, but I forgot to include this clip of video that I took. And I thought that Angie and Cynthia would especially be interested in this, so here it is.
Watches 24/7. Well, the movie, A Christmas Story, it's right over there. The set.
Now, I want to show you something about this little Halloween decoration that I have. We could actually, somebody could make it. I bought this ages ago. I can't even remember where. But what it is, see the little trick-or-treater? What it is just a styrofoam mannequin of a whole little child's body that you might get if you own a little boutique or something. And then they put clothes. They put a little pair of jeans and some socks and shoes. And a ghost with a trick-or-treat bag. And I love my little trick-or-treater. I put it out every year. Even though we don't get any trick-or-treaters or anything, and we don't even trick-or-treat anymore, but you know, it's kind of festive. But I thought if some crafty, creative person felt like making something new, they might be interested in something like this. So everybody have a safe and happy Halloween. Nowadays around here, there's not a whole lot of trick-or-treating going on, just for safety's sake, and because a lot of the churches don't want to build up Halloween. There's really fun activities. The church parking lots, they call them trunk or treat. You probably have them around your area. And it's so cute. You decorate your car trunk and the kids come around and they're trick-or-treating from people they know, which is a little safer, I think. So that's all, and I'll leave you with this throwback from 2003.
Trick-or-treat! Give her some candy. Candy? Pretend to give her some candy. There you go, good. Yeah! We're ready for Halloween.